To start off, get yourself a large bowl. You're gonna need a strong base, so first off, let's throw in a competent and passionate developer that isn't afraid to take risks. Add in a capable engine. If the developer is strong enough and can stand on its own, you won't need this next step, but if it's not strong enough, the perfect game will fall flat. So, in those cases, you will need to add a risk-taking publisher that welcomes creativity. Mix in some British literature, the older the better, either from the fantasy or the gothic genres. To spice things up, sprinkle with a bit of science fiction. Add in some interesting characters with strong character development, best if you keep these together in gameplay. Next, add in some weird phenomena and/or unexplained mysteriousness to give it that supernatural feel. I love werewolves, so why not add some of those? And if you don't have werewolves, anything similar will do. Gotta have that third-person view, of course. Throw in some electricity guns, an older protagonist, some cool outfits with a steampunk feel to them, a gloomy setting, a choir. Add anything that represents a knight or a warrior, and mix. Let cook for a good 4 years. And voila, you get the Order 1886.
It is a new world for us. For all of us. An age of scientific marvels. And yet, underneath the brass and steel, the old struggle endures. The wall dividing life from death. It is so thin. Its protectors so few. But for so few, such terrible strength do we possess.
Easy, boys. It's all right, Mum.
Callahan, this is Command. What is your status?
We have made contact.
Warning, this video may contain crazy fangirling, giddiness, and a lot of pointless smiling, squeeing, and the occasional scream or two. Enjoy. What's up, guys? So this is a video that I've been dying to do since I read this. issue of Game Informer. You guys have no idea how excited I am about this game. Let me explain. The trailer for this game was aired in E3 2013, so this past E3 during the Sony press conference. I saw it live. I mean, I didn't see it there because I went to E3, but I didn't go to the press conferences. But I saw it while they were airing it online, and I was tweeting, and I was like, ooh, what is this? I was like, oh my god, I want that gun, and like, oh my god, this looks so good. So ever since I saw the trailer, I was like, I was set that was one game that was really selling the PS4 to me. That was probably the game that intrigued me the most out of any game that was shown, out of any new IP game that was shown for E3, this past E3, during the live press conferences. Ever since then, I just needed to know more. I was like, what is this game about? So thank goodness Game Informer was great enough to do a cover story on this game, and they have so many awesome videos on their website. I'll put a link in the description. You guys seriously have to go check it out, because this game, I can't stop saying how much every time I read anything or see anything or just think about it, I start smiling like a moron. Like, oh, it's just so perfect. It's so perfect. It's like Ready at Dawn, the developers, it's like they went into my head, into my place in my brain where I hold things that I'm really passionate about, like stuff, like not even when I'm talking about games. Like my biggest passion is literature, like that, like storytelling. I fell in love with British literature in general, but mostly the British literature, like the old stuff. That was when I was like, oh, I'm in love. Beowulf, the Canterbury Tales, Morte d'Arthur, all of those amazing stories I just absolutely love. Anything that has to do with the medieval era, anything that has that feeling, anything that has the gothic feel, like Dracula, like Frankenstein, like Heart of Darkness, all that stuff. I just fell in love with that stuff, and that was my focus. That was my study. That was what I studied when I was in university. And then to top it off, like when I write, that's usually the genre I go to, like gothic stuff. That gloomy feeling, like anything having to do with werewolves, vampires, any of that stuff. I'm all about it. Like, I love writing about it. I'm a chicken when it comes to like me seeing modern day scary movies and stuff like that, because they go all out. Like, it's just like, and it's like ugly, and they eat people, and it's like, ew, it's like all gory and like, ew. I don't like that. But I like that supernatural, mysterious feeling of things, like that thriller where you don't really see things, but you hear things in the dark, you know, in the mist or something. Like, oh, that stuff gets me so excited. So when I saw this, I was like, what is this? Because it was looking like my type of game, like totally my type of game. So when I read about it, I seriously flipped. I was like, this is me. Did I write this when I was asleep, or what happened here? Like, it's a type of game that I have never really seen before. Like, I love fantasy and I love sci-fi and I love all that stuff, but it's kind of all been done. I don't think I've ever seen a game like this. Like, this genre, like gothic, mixed with the retelling of history, mixed with like the literature, and it's just so beautiful. Let me just share what I learned about this game. So again, the developer is Ready at Dawn, the publisher is Sony, so this is a PS4 exclusive. It's going to be released sometime in 2014, at least that's what they're saying right now. I don't know if that's going to be pushed further. It's a supernatural thriller action adventure game. And it's a third-person view, but in the follow over the shoulder type of thing. It's not like directly behind you. It's a little bit off to the side. So you feel like you're a follower. You feel like you're following the person in front of you. It's a very filmic experience. And not just because of the graphics, because of how good they look, but because everything they're doing, like even the camera, when they're following the characters and all that, reacts like as if it were a camera lens. So it's very much like a movie. The cinematics are very filmic. This concept has been in the works since 2005. And in 2009, Ready at Dawn created their own game engine for this game. So until the PS4 was announced, that's where they were like, that's where it belongs. That's where it's gonna thrive. A lot of people were saying when they saw the E3 trailer, they were like, oh, that's not in-game. Those graphics, the cinematics, they probably did the cinematics like separate. They didn't do it in the engine. You know, that's usually what they do with trailers or teasers. But this is actual in-game footage. Like, this was made, the trailer was made on the same engine. And the crazy thing is that was early production. It's gonna look even better than that. In the Order trailer, the characters are the actual in-game models. And the weapon effects as well. The only thing that is different from the actual game is the cinematic panning camera. So another way that the camera the camera reacts like a lens, like a camera lens, is dust particles. Like when the light hits dust particles, you could see it. You could see the dust particles. You could see when it's raining or something like that, you could see like drops as if they fell on the lens. Or when something gets close to the lens, it'll like bend. The line will bend a little bit. So all this stuff that I'm talking about right now are just like the technicalities. For example, objects are made with soft bodies, meaning they have some kind of give or flexibility, unlike rigid bodies. For example, bending and morphing a metal beam in reaction to a magnetic force. The story is filled with history, a reimagining of history, mythology, fantasy, sci-fi, different genres. They're just blending it all in as if it had really happened. It's a retelling of history, of actual time periods in history, and even events. They're taking actual events, like the Industrial Revolution. They're taking those events, but they're changing reasons, like why they happened. What if something happened differently? Like the same events, but just for different reasons with different people, that kind of stuff. So now let me talk a little bit about the story, which is the exciting part. So the story begins hundreds of years ago. The setting is like old school London. So in the beginning, an event happens during the 7th to 8th century where humanity actually starts splitting. And what I mean by that is they start evolving in different ways. Why? We don't know. A small group of humans become genetically different, just in not too much craziness going on, just like some genetics are different. And the majority are still human looking. But there is a number of humans that actually look like beasts. Like they're called half-breeds. And I'm thinking that they probably look kind of like werewolfish, something like that, because of how we saw them in the trailers. Like you could see them, you can't see their faces, so I don't know how their faces look like, but their bodies. So these beasts are pretty much a new species of sentient creatures. And of course, this leads to war between the humans and the half-breeds. This is where I freaking lost it. Humanity's hope comes centuries later with Arthur, who forms a group of like-minded people to form their version of the Knights of the Round Table, the Order. I need this game, like, right freaking now. You know how excited I am about this game? You guys know how much I've wanted a gaming PC, right? For one reason or the other, that's just been delayed and all this stuff. But I've been wanting it. I'm like, man, I want a PC. I want a freaking gaming PC. If somebody were to come to me and said, you know what, we're gonna give you a gaming PC, high-end gaming PC, or a PS4. We're just gonna give it to you for free. Which one do you want? I would say a PS4 because of this game. Simply because of this game. There's no way I'm not gonna get a PS4. There's no way I'm not gonna play this game. It's a PS4 exclusive. This is a necessity for me. So continuing on, there's this mysterious turn of events where the knights, these knights of the Round Table that are created by Arthur. Now remember, this is a reimagining of history. So in a mysterious turn of events, they find a substance that they call black water. And by drinking it, it makes him live longer, heal faster, and even become a little bit stronger. So like I said, the purpose of the knights is to protect humanity, but the only way that they could do this is to give up their own humanity, which is by drinking this black water. I mean, they're not changing, they're not morphing into something other than human, but they are pretty much giving up their mortality because they're living longer. They're changing the way that they're supposed to be. So after this is all introduced, they cut to the 19th century. The war between the half-breeds and the humans is still going on, but the half-breeds pretty much already have the upper hand. But what changes the tide is the Industrial Revolution. But it's a different type of Industrial Revolution. Like, in reality, the Industrial Revolution gave rise to a lot of new technology that made life a little bit easier. But in this case, the Industrial Revolution rises because of the war with the half-breeds. And what comes from it are these crazy weapons. This arc gun that they're calling, that in the trailer, you see it in the trailer, it's the one with the electricity. That's the arc gun. These crazy things that never existed during this time in real life. So it kind of has a little bit of a steampunk feel to it. Like, it's old school, but then at the same time it's like advanced technology. There are airships, floating mooring stations, powerful weapons, wireless comms, thermal imaging. So all this crazy stuff in order to help them fight the half-breeds. And because of the Industrial Revolution, they are able to gain the upper hand now. So now when the story actually begins, the humans now have the upper hand against the half-breeds with this crazy technology. And the half-breeds are now trying to find a different way to survive. So now let me talk a little bit about the characters. You play this guy. His name is Galahad, or at least that's what his alias is. Galahad. If you've read Morte d'Arthur, like The Death of Arthur, if you haven't. So the thing about the knights is that they all have their given name, but they also take on, like, they're christened a new name when they join the knights. And all of their names represent something having to do with either the story, The Death of Arthur, or having to do with the Knights of the Round Table. So your main character is Sir Galahad. Galahad was one of the most renowned knights of the Round Table. Each knight that there has been could have the same name as a previous knight. What I mean by that is, for example, Sir Galahad, he's the third Galahad. He's the third person to wear that name. There have been 2 previous Galahads before him, but they've died and the next one takes over as a different Galahad. His actual name is Grayson, but he was knighted as Sir Galahad. He's a really good knight. He has survived for centuries already. And even though he is the main character, he's kind of a blank slate. Going into it, you don't really know anything about Galahad, and he doesn't even know who he really is. They keep saying that they want to tell a story about Galahad finding himself, about finding out what he actually thinks about all of this, about who he is and who he used to be. The cool thing about this that I love in every game, I love the story of a group of heroes. You know, I like that because you get this amazing character development and relationships and interactions. That's what I love. And that's what this is. There are 4 main characters. It's Sir Galahad, Lady Igraine, who in the original was the mother of Arthur. Her real name is Isabeau Dargil. She's one of the younger knights and was a disciple of Galahad's. So Galahad pretty much trained her, and after the training, after she was already knighted and all that, they became really good friends and a little bit more, but they can't really make anything of their relationship because the order restricts it. They can't do anything about it. They can't be in a relationship, not only between them but with anybody. So there's like this tension there. I love that too. I'm like I'm like a sucker for that kind of stuff, like that angst where it's like unforbidden love. Oh, I love you, but oh. And then there's Marquis de Lafayette. In actuality, Marquis de Lafayette was a French military officer who served in both the American and French revolutions. But in this world, Lafayette still fought in those conflicts, but his wisdom and tactical genius brought him to the Order's attention. He's the youngest and the newest recruit. So he still hasn't gotten his actual knighted name. That's why he's still Marquis de Lafayette. He's got like this whimsical attitude. He's like the wise guy, the wisecracker, I think. I'm really looking forward to knowing more about this character. It's Sir Percival. His real name is Sebastian Mallory. This name jumps out. Mallory, Thomas Mallory, Sir Thomas Mallory. He wrote The Death of Arthur. In this story, this character is an ancestor to Thomas Mallory. Out of the group, he is the oldest and most experienced knight. He's only second in the lineage of Percival, so there has only been one Percival before him, which means he has been around for quite a while. For all of those centuries after the first Percival, he has been around. So Galahad sees him kind of like a mentor, and he has a lot of respect for him. It says that he's become one of the best knights that the Order has ever seen. Him and Galahad are like the best of friends. Mallory is the one guy you know is always going to do the right thing. I think he's probably going to feel like the father figure, and to Galahad, since Galahad has been around for centuries as well, the big brother, as they said here. They were saying that when you're in a fight, in combat, because freaking Game Informer actually saw the demo, which I'm so jealous. Pretty much this level where they go, I think it's they're calling it the Whitechapel demo, which I think is a piece of the trailer, because when the carriage goes into in the gates that they open, it says Whitechapel on there. So I think that's probably a piece of it. They were saying that during combat, for example, Igraine and Lafayette, they have like this sparring banter between the two of them, because they're the youngest, and Galahad really you could tell that Galahad really respects Percival. The Round Table, or the Order, sits at the center of Britain's House of Lords, and it protects the realm under orders of the Lord Chancellor. But like any other freaking story, whenever one problem starts to get less, another problem arises. So now that the half-breeds are less strong, they're weaker, the humans, the oppressed humans, now rise up in rebellion, because they know that the knights are busy, fighting the half-breeds, and I mean they're thankful for it, but the people that are in poverty in the slums, they won't settle for that, because they know that the Order supports like the rich and the strong. They're part of that society, while the people in the slums suffer and have to struggle, and nobody helps them. So that's why they rebel. They rebel against the government for being oppressed. So in the demo, I think the trailer probably takes place towards the end of the demo, maybe. I don't know, but the demo focuses more on showing a fight between the Order, these 4 knights, and actual humans. So people with guns and all this stuff. The people that are rebelling. I love these names, dude. Lafayette, Galahad, Percival. I love those names. I'm a sucker for like old school names. They were saying that there was a chaotic and exciting shootout between the knights and the rebels, the human rebels. They have cover-to-cover system. The guns are really a huge part of the game, and how you use them and all that. There's that arc gun. The arc gun is an ideal long-range weapon, and its powerful blast also works well against heavily armored opponents. The gunner holds down the trigger until the weapon is fully charged, and then releases to unleash a crackling spark of electricity. There's the combo gun that we see in the trailer. Percival has it. And the thermite rifle, Lafayette has it. What it pretty much does is it sends out pellets of aluminum iron oxide that burst on contact with any surface. A secondary fire then sends out a superheated flare that sets the thermite alight, raining down fiery death.
Lafayette!
And then there's frag grenades. There's all these different types of stuff. But it all just sounds so awesome. They also showed off some melee. Since Galahad is an experienced warrior, they wanted to make that known when meleeing enemies. They added a style of QTE that gives you options of what to do. So, for example, X to block or Y to whack with a chair. When you're fighting somebody in melee, you could look around and X to pick up the chair and hit him with the chair, or O for block or something. So you could choose which one to do. So it's not just like push X for this and push this, and like it's not telling you what to do. You could choose. So it's slightly a different type of QTE. They were saying that they really made it a big point to not make them like superheroes, where you know, they don't get hurt or anything like that, or like they're superhuman and they're like super powerful. They could, anything that could kill a human, a normal human, could kill a knight. But they do have that black water that will help them regenerate, so regenerate health. So you will see yourself in situations where you need to drink it. What I'm thinking is, what does that stuff do? Like, what is the side effects of using that? Like, what if it slowly, I don't know, starts to turn you evil or something? What if there's like a downside to it? And then after the fight in the demo, they do end up going to an abandoned hospital that nobody was going. The constables were staying behind, and they were like, okay. So the knights go and they realize why. There's like half-breeds all over the place. It's like infested with half-breeds. They're like on the rooftops and all this stuff, and they're just like howling and like scratching and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god. And then Galahad looks up and sees the airship passing by, and he calls in for air support, and that's where the demo ends. So I'm like, oh no, dude. They also asked if there was going to be any multiplayer, and I really liked their answer. They said that they like multiplayer games, and that there's still a possibility of there being a multiplayer because they're still early on, so they can't say yes or no as of yet. Their only focus is to make a strong story-driven game, single player. So they're focusing 100% on the single player campaign. So I guess if they have extra time or something like that, or if they get extra hands on, like more teams or something, then maybe they will look into a multiplayer. But right now they're not even worrying about that. They're focusing completely on the single player, which is always nice to hear. I'm getting the PS4. This sold it. I mean, I was already looking into the PS4, but I was more in the like thinking maybe I should just get a gaming PC, you know, maybe skip the consoles until some crazy exclusive shows up, which is this one. But I was always curious about this game since E3. This is what made me go, dude, I'm gonna have to get a PS4. And then when I read it, I was like, where's my PS4? Hello? When I think of 2014, I don't think I've ever been this crazy hyped for more games coming out. Like, I don't think I've ever had that feeling. Like, usually it's like one game that I'm really hyped about, but now it's like so many that I'm like crazy about, where I'm like, I can't wait anymore. This is something that I would have given everything to write, because it's totally my style. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the order. The more, go check GameInformer.com if you haven't already. They have all these awesome videos on there. They did kind of like with Dragon Age Inquisition, where they had a whole month of Dragon Age Inquisition. They had a whole month on the order. A very important question that I'm just going to mention on here was if the game has choice or if it's just a story-driven game, like it's just linear, kind of like The Last of Us. It's not an RPG. It's more of a linear story because they really want to tell a story. It's about these characters. So whenever anything new comes up with The Order, know that I'm gonna do a video on it. So this game is definitely on my radar, in the top list of my most anticipated games of 2014. I really hope it does come out in 2014. Oh, before, I know you guys are gonna ask because I'm talking about it, but before you ask if I'm gonna get the PS4 on launch, I'm not. I'm waiting. I could wait. Plus, I never even pre-ordered it, so there's no way I'm gonna get it. Which is fine with me because right now on release there are no games for the next gen that I really want to play. Until 2014, that's when I'm really gonna look into trying to get a PS4 before this game comes out. Because if this game comes out and I don't have a PS4, y'all better watch out. So let me know what you guys think about the game in the comments down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.